it is one of the constituencies in this city that has a lot of young men and women who would benefit from the skills being taught at our TVET centers. Honorable Speaker, it's rather sad that in the last regime,
Member for Nyeri, I see
under
your
the
hand.
handshake
Please
regime,
don't lift up your hand. I can see you.
Honorable Chair, this particular vote suffered immensely out of politics, Honorable Speaker. And money was being removed from this particular vote with the apparent reasoning that it was William Ruto, then Deputy President, who was pushing through the agenda of TVET. And I am glad that today, as a House, we rise to the occasion to realize that this was not a William Ruto agenda. This was an agenda for Kenya, an agenda for our young men and women who languish in poverty because they cannot access employment opportunities or even employ themselves because they lack the requisite skills. The housing agenda, Honorable Speaker, that we are about to roll out with the introduction as envisaged under the finance bill, Honorable Speaker, will be powered by this investment in our TVET institutions. And Honorable Speaker, last week I had a very senior member of this House, who we have been in this House for 3 terms with, asking his constituents that building of houses cannot create jobs. And he led a chorus asking, how will houses create jobs for lawyers, like the Honorable Kaluma? And Honorable Kaluma knows that lawyers get jobs in housing through conveyancing. He was asking, how will engineers get jobs through housing? And engineers, like Engineer Kirago here, will tell you that civil engineers, mechanical engineers in plumbing and installation of lifts, electrical engineers will all access job opportunities. And I'm glad, Honorable Speaker, that we find convergence with my brother, the member for Mathare, on this particular issue of TVET. And I can see the member for Homa Bay Town is also itching to contribute to it, because it is such an important agenda for our young people. And I do hope and pray that even as we begin the debate on the finance bill, we will appreciate that these votes that we are supplying money to today will have to be financed through the finance bill by raising money from the Kenyan people through taxation. And therefore invite the Honorable member for Mathare to also be very active tomorrow and the day after during the finance bill debate to contribute to ensure that we not only supply money to these votes, but we raise that money to be able to change the lives of the people of Kikuyu, Mathare, and the young men and women of our country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Member for Kuria West. And for those who are coming in as the committee of supply is going on, we agreed we use the intervention button for this specific, if you want to speak to a specific issue, so that I'm able to pick you. Member for Kuria West, Honorable Matthias Robbie. Sorry, your microphone is becoming a moving target.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for this opportunity. Also, I stand here to support the allocation for technical vocational education and training. We know this has uplifted many of our students, so I stand to support, and we know if this even can be increased so that it can support our people. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Member for Nyeri, Honorable Rahab Mukami.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to support the TVET because we considered that many TVET colleges, many of them have stalled. The buildings are not complete, and the ones which are complete, they don't have training materials. And it is one of our agenda in our manifesto, and we want to make sure that our young people are going to get technical skills and business skills to have their own employment. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Masinga.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I really want to support this vote that has increased the money for the TPETs, because this is where our young people are getting the skills. And I'm a proud member of Parliament to announce that last year class of Masinga TPET, we produced the best student who was in Kenya, actually, and was able to be sponsored by the Chinese government to go and further the studies, a full scholarship. So these TPET institutes are really helping our young people who are not able to proceed to the universities, but we are creating jobs for them through their skills. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'll give Member Chairman Education, Honorable Meli.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I rise to support this, that the State Department for TVET had an increased allocation because we have hundreds of youth who need to be skilled and who need to actually get the requisite skills for the market. Right now we have, with the housing development, we'll need a lot of plumbers, a lot of artisans, a lot of painters, a lot of builders, so that actually the market will actually not lack the skilled manpower. Two, it will also be essential that this country produce the requisite skills that we can export to the market in the region, like in Uganda, like in other countries, where we can actually send these people to go and work. The other day, there was a visit by my committee in Germany and Western Europe. There is a real lack of skilled manpower. And actually, we need to produce enough manpower to feed the aging population in other parts of the world. I support, and we need to add even more. Thank you.
Just to get to almost closing this one, Member for Homa Bay Town.
Thank you for giving me the last chance, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I support this vote to technical, vocational, and education and training for the reason that has been given. Madam Chair, the current president has visited Homa Bay Town constituency twice. And on those visits, in my absence, he's seen the need for a technical and vocational training, facility in Homa Bay Town. Madam Chair, which is the headquarters of Homa Bay County, and you know what that means. All those young people are there, idling, not trained, jobless. Madam Speaker, I want to agree with the people who are saying that we give this particular vote not only this money, but if there is opportunity and resources allow in future, we give it. And Madam Chair, let me underscore that once this money is supplied, I'm tired of visiting the Ministry of Education and particularly this department over that need in Homa Bay. May they, if they still want to avoid it, just honor the word of the president so that the people of Homa Bay Town, those young people can also be trained. Madam Chair, otherwise I fully support.
Thank you. I now put the question that the programs under the vote 1064, as read out and sums allocated in the schedule, be approved. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I now put the question that a sum not exceeding 28,323,796,448 Kenya shillings be issued from the consolidated fund to complete the sum necessary to meet the recurrent and development expenditure during the year ending 30th June 2024 in respect of vote 1064. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Vote 1065, State Department for Higher Education and Research.
I propose the question that a sum not exceeding 128,603,869,981 Kenya shillings be issued from the consolidated fund to complete the sum necessary to meet the recurrent and development expenditure during the year ending 30th June 2024 in respect of vote 1065.
Programs under the vote: university education, research, science and technology and innovation, general administration, planning and support services.
I propose the question that the programs under vote 1065 as read out and sums allocated in the schedule be approved. There is a proposed amendment. Honorable Wamboka, member for Bumula.
Chair for PIC Education Governance. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the schedule be amended in vote 1065 by deleting the figure 124,039,641,117 in column 6, gross current estimates, under program 0504000 University Education, and substituting thereof the figure 123,439,641,117, and B, deleting the figure 3,455,000,000 in column 7 in gross capital estimates under program 0504000 University Education, and substituting therefore the figure 4,055,000,000. Madam Chair, the intention of the proposed amendment is to reduce Kenya shillings 600 million from the allocation of GOK-sponsored students who are admitted in the private universities and reallocate the same amount, 600 million, for infrastructural support for public universities. Honorable Chair, we all agree that our public universities are struggling due to underfunding, which also affects their ability to expand and rehabilitate the existing infrastructure. This has in turn compromised the quality of education which is being offered at our public universities. Honorable Chair, the 600 million, though not adequate, will go a long way in supporting the selected key universities, that is Moi University, Egerton University, the University of Nairobi, Chuka University, Masinde Muliro, Masai Mara, and Kibabi University, which have serious infrastructural gaps, and Tomboya in Homa Bay, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the allocation to private universities in the last 5 years to support government students admitted there has been surrounded by gray areas, which as a house we should not allow at all. There are a lot of inconsistencies in this support to private universities, which could possibly lead to loss of public funds. Honorable Speaker, we are also making a pronouncement that as a house and as a committee, that no new allocation to private universities should be made by the National Treasury without the express approval of this House, Honorable Chair. And that one, I repeat. We are making pronouncement that as a House and a committee, that no new allocation to private universities should be made by the National Treasury without the express approval of the House. Honorable Chair, the National Treasury should also not use Article 223 Avenue to allocate any further resources to private universities until all the gray areas surrounding this funding are addressed and a go-ahead to allocate is granted by this House. And I think on that, Honorable Chair, the Majority Leader will help us to ensure that they pin down the CS Treasury to adhere to this.
Wind up. Wind up, Honorable Member.
My committee of PIC Education and Governance has resolved to order for a forensic audit
Chair,
to be undertaken on this allocation.
Order, member. Please do not put a motion. Please wind up on the amendment.
I beg to move.
Yes.
And I welcome.
No, it doesn't need seconding. Please take your seat.
Thank
Honorable
you.
member, I'll give the chair for education.
Thank you.
Wait,
Chair.
Honorable member, wait, hold on. I propose a question that the program University Education under vote 1065 be amended as proposed. Now, Chair for Education, you have 2 minutes. We agreed 2 minutes maximum.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. First of all, let me commend Honorable Mboka for moving this amendment, and I want to support it. Honorable Chair, the Education Committee looked into the State Department and the MDS. And we went through every State Department and realized that there are certain government agencies, actually departments that actually waste public funds. One of it is the government allocation to private universities. You realize that when we went through, they have no correct figure of the students. And when we went down to find out, the number of students in those universities are actually less than what we have. That is why, Madam Speaker, Honorable Chair, we actually went ahead and asked the universities to give us the actual students, the numbers, and the admission numbers in those particular universities. They could not. In fact, the national universities or the public universities have been suffering a lot of underfunding because of influence peddling by the private universities, and they get more funds than they do require. In fact, when we went ahead, they had been allocated 4.2 billion. And yet this year, they have no first years. Last year, they had been allocated 3.2. So they have been allocated 1 billion more. When we investigated that, we found out that the student population is less than what they actually given out. And up to today, they have not given us the list of the students, and they do not even want to have that. Two, look at the state universities or the public universities like Moi, Egerton, and all the others, Masinde Muliro, where we've allocated those resources. They are critically underfunded. All those can actually be salvaged by actually making sure that we do a forensic audit of what we have been given private universities, find out how the money has been utilized for all the years, especially the 5 years they have been allocated, so that actually we make value for the money that we have given. Thank you, and I support.
Member Fonjoro. Member Fonjoro not ready. Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, allow me to support that particular amendment. And I like the wording by the Honorable Mboka that even the National Treasury be debarred from allocating further resources to that vote for private universities, Honorable Chair, without the prior approval of this House. And it is time, Honorable Speaker, that this House took its work seriously, Honorable Speaker, because we pride ourselves as a budget-making House, but we continuously allow the National Treasury to abuse our mandate by allocating money through under Article 223 without being verified, Honorable Speaker. Last week, Honorable Speaker, the CS education was right here. And you remember, Honorable Speaker, me putting it to the CS, that there are indeed cartels that have taken over the running of the State Department for University Education. Honorable Speaker, it is surprising if you looked at the documents that were tabled by the CS. Mount Kenya University is being allocated in the last financial year a figure of 731 million when Karatina University is down on its knees. Egerton University, Honorable Speaker, is being closed down. The same with Moi University. Our premier university, the University of Nairobi. Yes, it is the University of Nairobi. You know, Honorable Speaker, I went to the University of Nairobi. And the university, Mr. Speaker, the premier university, which I am sure you also attended, Madam Chair, is also on its knees financially. It is immoral. It is unethical of us as leaders to be allocating money to private businesses in the pretext, and I say this without flinching an eyelid, Honorable Speaker, in the pretext that we are funding university students, what we call publicly funded university students in private universities. I did put it to the CS here last week, Honorable Speaker, that until they give us a forensic audit showing us who are these students in these private universities. If you go to some of these universities getting 700 million, Speaker, this money is being allocated to mere numbers, not students. There are no students in classrooms. Honorable Speaker, look at the figures going to Kabarak University. And when we spoke about state capture in this country, people thought we were playing around or we were just playing politics. State capture is real. Business people have taken over the running of government ministries. Business cartels have taken over the work of legislating and appropriating resources on behalf of the people. It is you members here who are charged with that responsibility of appropriating money, not business people out there who are appropriating money for profit, not for public good. Honorable Speaker, we must now rise to the occasion and appropriate money appropriately for public good, not for private profit. Honorable Speaker, I support this amendment, and I want to re-emphasize that the National Treasury must not allocate any further resources to the State Department for private universities without the prior approval of this House, so that the forensic audit we sought from the CS is tabled before this House. It is checked by the Public Investments Committee in charge of education, which the Honorable Amboka sits in, and I am glad that the Honorable Amboka, being, I think, is even the chair of the Public Investments Committee in charge of education, has taken up this matter with the energy that it deserves. And Honorable Amboka, I want to encourage you, that is what is meaningful oversight. Oversight in government is not shouting in funerals. It is doing what you are doing. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Before we put out the question, I'll give the member for Dagoretti South.
Madam Chair, because I wouldn't want to delay anyone on this debate, mine is to support the amendment. And Madam Chair, why it is important to support this amendment is because we as Kenyans already know what happened to health services in this country. The moment we support private entities at the expense of public entities, that is the day we start walking down the road of killing our public entities. Government's work is to support public institutions, public investments, public entities. Government is not here to support private entities. So, Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate the mover of this amendment, and I support it, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Reading the mood of the House, I put the question that the program University Education under Vote 1065 be amended as proposed. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I put the question that the program under the vote 1065 as amended and sums allocated be approved. I propose the question that the programs Research, Science, Technology and Innovation, General Administration, Planning and Support Services, as read out and sums allocated in the schedule, be approved. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I now put the question that a sum not exceeding Kenya shillings 128,603,869,981 be issued from the consolidated fund to complete the sum necessary to meet the recurrent and development expenditure during the year ending 30th June 2024 in respect of vote 1065. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Vote 1066, State Department for Basic Education.
I propose the question that a sum not exceeding 147,824,978,050 shillings be issued from the consolidated fund to complete the sum necessary to meet the recurrent and development expenditure during the year ending 30th June 2024 in respect of vote 1066.
Programs under the vote: primary education, secondary education, quality assurance and standards, general administration, planning and support services.
I propose the question that the programs under vote 1066 as read out and sums allocated in the schedule be approved. Member for Madare.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I wanted to support this, but Madam Chair, looking at the allocation that has been given to this, it is way, way below education. The basic education sector, in my view, should at least be at about 200 or 250 billion. And there are about two short reasons that I want to advance in this regard. Madam Chair, it has been close to about 10 years where we are at 1,410 on capitation. This is notwithstanding the fact that we have inflation and other things. If you look at the current inflation and put into consideration what the capitation or capitalizing as students in our public schools should be, it should be at about an estimated 7,400. If you take into account now the CBC, capitation or capitalizing a student should at this particular time be at least 15,000, not 1,400. Madam Speaker, if you look at the school feeding program and what has been allocated to it, about only 2.3 million of about 17 million students in schools will benefit. What happens to the other estimated 3 to 5 or 6 million out of the total 17 million, including my students and students in Madare and informal settlements who will not be able to access and benefit from this? Madam Speaker, there is little or no indication that sanitary towels have been properly catered for in this particular budget, especially on the sanitary education. And lastly, Madam Speaker, we have a category of schools which under the Basic Education Act are not contemplated. The Basic Education Act contemplates schools to mean either public or private schools. There are about 1.8 million children in Kenya today who go to schools that are neither public nor private, schools that are known as APBET, Alternative Provision for Basic Education. In Madare alone, I have 80,000 of these students, 56,000 of whom are in alternative schools. They are not recognized, there is no mapping, there is no recognition, and therefore they are not even capitalized. So, Madam Speaker, I want to suggest that this allocation to basic education is so seriously underfunded that we ought to consider budgets that we have allocated, and I know we need roads. I need roads in Madare, but where are our priorities? When we have 249, close to 250 billion on roads as opposed to basic education. So, Madam Speaker, I want us to do a serious reconsideration of our priorities.
2 minutes. Honorable Dorothy Kiara, 2 minutes.
It should be 1 minute.
Give me the microphone. Thank you, Chair. I too stand to support the allocation budgeted for State Department for Basic Education. Chair, it is important to know the government of Kenya has embarked on free compulsory basic education. And for this matter, Chair, it is important that this particular department is properly funded so that we can realize that commitment. Madam Chair, I support this budgetary allocation. Madam Chair, I support this particular budgetary allocation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I now put the question that the programs under the vote 1066 as read out and sums allocated in the schedule be approved. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I now put the question that a sum not exceeding 147,824,978,050 Kenya shillings be issued from the consolidated fund to complete the sum necessary to meet the recurrent and development expenditure during the year ending 30th June 2024 in respect of vote 1066. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
The National Treasury.
I propose the question that a sum not exceeding 130,489,049,141 Kenya shillings be issued from the consolidated fund to complete the sum necessary to meet the recurrent and development expenditure during the year ending 30th June 2024 in respect of vote 1071, the National Treasury.
Programs under the vote: General Administration, Planning and Support Services, Public Financial Management, Economic and Financial Policy Formulation and Management, and Market Competition.
The question that the programs under vote 1071, the National Treasury, as read out and sums allocated in the schedule, be approved. There are some proposed amendments. Mover.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I beg to move that the program be amended as follows. That the schedule be amended in vote 1071 by A, deleting the figure 67,450,462,127 shillings in column 6, that is gross current estimates, under program 0717000, General Administration, Planning and Support Services, and substituting therefore, the figure Kenya shillings 67,350,462,127. B, deleting the figure Kenya shillings 9,366,602,765 in column 7, that is gross capital estimates, under program 0717000, General Administration, Planning and Support Services, and substituting therefore the figure Kenya shillings 9,266,602,765. C, deleting the figure Kenya shillings 36,320,482,310 in column 7, that is gross capital estimates, under program 0718000, that is public finance management, and substituting therefore the figure